Am I a jerk for leaving my son's wedding after he denied his stepmom a mother-son dance? My son Jordan is 27 and his stepmom, Natalie, came into his life when he was 16 years old. His mom passed away when he was 13 years old, and Jordan never really considered Natalie as his mom. He refused to let her get close and shut down every attempt to have a close relationship with her. He even moved in with his aunt months after Natalie and I got married. As years went by, they started to reconcile and see each other more often. He invited us to his wedding, which took place a couple days ago. We got there and the atmosphere was great. Until later, I found out that Jordan had denied Natalie a mother-son dance and instead chose his aunt to dance with him. Natalie told me about this minutes later, and I couldn't help but feel irritated and I got quite upset. I decided to get up and leave, and we both left. I got calls from my family after they saw me leave, and Jordan called me later and I told him why I did it. He got mad and said that it was his wedding and his aunt is basically his mom to him, and said that Natalie shouldn't expect special treatment. I said it's not special treatment but a tradition. Besides that, he hurt her feelings for no reason other than for the sake of being malicious. He got offended and accused me of ruining his day and causing a scene. Now the family sided with him and I shouldn't have left no matter what. So I have to ask, am I a jerk for leaving my son's wedding? Follow me for more updates, link is in the bio. For our next story of today, am I a jerk for telling my son he has to go to college, a university, get a job, or get out of the house? My wife and I have 3 children. They are 17, 15, and 10. My oldest has no intention to do anything after high school, at least none he has made clear to us. So I gave him an ultimatum. This is the same ultimatum my parents gave me when I was 18. It was either go to a university, get a job, or get out of the house. I chose to travel around the world for 2 years and I had a lot of sailing experience, and my father had a lot of friends in that community, so I was able to sail around the world, earn money, and work my ass off. It wasn't a 2-year vacation. My family is well off, and I could have chosen a boring life, but I knew I would be a disappointment if I chose that. So when I got back, I enrolled into university and eventually went to work for the family business. My wife thinks that I'm being unfair to our poor boy, throwing him out into the world. I'm not. We have the money to pay for his college. We have the money to take care of all 3 of our kids. My middle child will probably end up a good chunk in her pocket. She is racking the academics as well as a golf scholarship. My 10-year-old is 10 and no one knows what he's going to do, but he knows the plan, and we have not been secretive about this rule. My wife and I agreed that we would raise productive members of society before we got engaged. Her and my son think that I am being cruel to expect him to fend himself at the age of 18. I even offered him multiple opportunities to do other things. He has no interest in anything beyond his computer. I'm at a loss. I don't think I'm wrong for expecting an adult to adult. My parents have already told him that they would not be giving him any money if he's not going to school or is working. My wife is threatening to use her salary to support him. I don't have any say in that. I won't actually kick him out of the house, but I will stop paying his bills and cut off our grocery budget by 20%. If she wants to work so he doesn't have to, then there's nothing I can do about it. So I have to ask, am I a jerk? For our next story, am I a jerk for forcing my son to use a bidet and threatening him to talk to his friends or take him to a doctor about his underwear? For some reason, my 14-year-old son cannot wipe properly. This was never a concern to me as his mom did the laundry. Unfortunately, she is sick right now, so I have taken over the household chores that she used to handle. My son is still responsible for his, and I do mine as well as hers. First day, I did laundry and gagged and almost puked from his underwear. If he were 3 and was not fully potty trained, I might understand how they ended up like this. But he's a healthy young man. He should not be leaving his ass unwiped. I talked to him about it, and he said he would put better effort into making sure the job is done properly. Well, nope, no change in the situation. So I went to the hardware store and installed a wand bidet in the bathroom he uses. We already have one in ours. I told him that he has a chance to either use the bidet or washing his own underwear. He doesn't know how to use a washing machine and he refuses to do them by hand. He started going commando, which meant the problem was his jeans now. So I said that we might need to take him to doctor and see what's wrong with him to see if it's a physical or psychological issue. I also said that the next time his friends were over, I was going to ask them if they left the underwear in the same condition. I would never actually do this to embarrass him like that, but he said that I was being an a-hole and called his mom to tell her what I was doing. She said that he was just like that and that I should deal with it until she is better. I don't think that's a great plan. If this kid never learns to wipe his ass, have to find a partner who is into poop fetish. I'm not a kink shaming him if that's his thing. He said he started using the bidet, but he said it was gross and weird. I said it's grosser and weirder for a 14-year-old boy to crap his pants every day. We are both stressed about this, so I have to ask, am I an a-hole for asking my son to wipe his butt properly? For our last story today, am I an a-hole for missing an actual emergency because I turned off my phone to avoid my wife's unnecessary contact attempts during my tech-free weekend? My best friend and I have a tradition of taking a yearly weekend trip together that is completely phone-free. We've been doing this for over a decade now, and these weekend trips consist of us staying in the suite and exploring the city. Not traversing in the wilderness, so it's not like we're completely disconnected. Still, we like to keep one on hand for navigation and emergency purposes. And it's usually a friend's phone that we brought along. My friend and I left for a trip this year 2 Fridays ago to make use of the long weekend. This was the first time I've gone on one of these trips since my wife and I moved in together, got engaged, or got married. However, we were dating for the last 2 years worth of trips in 2021 and 2022, and she seemed fine during that time. I would tell her that I was going to be busy for the weekend and she would leave me alone. I understand that there's different expectations once you get married, but I didn't expect for her 180-degree turn behavior. My wife all but demanded that I take my phone as well just in case she needs to get hold of me despite having my friend's phone number. I let her know that I arrived and immediately after that she was texting me and asking how things were going. Then again, asking me another question that I didn't respond to the first one. Eventually, I muted our text conversations because I was just sick of hearing the phone buzz. She called me a few hours later and asked why I wasn't responding to her texts. I reiterated that this was supposed to be a no-phone weekend and kept the calls short despite her trying to drag out the conversations. She called me once more after this. When I answered and found out it was an emergency, I just simply turned off my phone. The calls started coming in from my friend's phone and he followed suit. So we spent the rest of the weekend with our phones off until we drove back home on Monday. I called my wife and informed her that we were 30 minutes away from my place, and she was furious. She said that there ended up being an emergency. Her sister got into a car accident that won't affect her long term, but it resulted in broken bones. And when I just ignored her entire time when she needed me, I told her that I was very sorry to hear about her sister, but it wasn't my fault when she essentially forced my hand into cutting off all means of communication. She went to stay with a friend before I arrived home, and that night has since came home, but she is still fuming. So I have to ask, am I a jerk for turning off my phone? Anyways, guys, that's all the stories for today. We have plenty of other cool stories on this channel, so I appreciate the subscribe and notification bell. I'll see you guys next time.